Wipro. Just take a look at the chart of Bosch. It was not doing much through the day, but suddenly it's now up about 1.5%. On that note, let's invite Varun Goel of Motilal Oswal also into our discussion. Varun, hi, afternoon. You have a lot of heavyweight stocks in some of your portfolios that are doing really well. I wanted to talk about HPCL, which is a part of your Focus Multi-Cap 35 fund. HPCL, BPCL, IOC all hitting new highs daily. Is there more scope or more money to be made in this sector now? And if yes, what could be the triggers?
Good afternoon, Sonia. First to clarify, I manage funds on the PMS side and not on the mutual fund side, so I won't be able to comment about that space. In terms of oil marketing companies, we of course remain extremely positive. Our sense is that these stocks are extremely undervalued. If you look at the kind of reform that have been initiated by the government, both on the auto fuel side, diesel and petrol, and now incrementally they are trying to deregulate prices even on the kitchen fuels. We believe that going forward things will get a lot better for these companies from a working capital perspective. Also, ever since there has been a crash in the crude oil prices, the volume growth on both petrol and diesel side still remains extremely good. Our sense is that these companies will deliver a healthy return on equity of the extent of 18 to 20% with good dividend yield of 4 to 5%, and of course earnings growth should be of the order of around 15%, and they continue to trade at less than 10 times current year earnings, making them extremely attractive from a valuation point of view. So we continue to believe that this sector will continue to do well, and it remains a key holding in our portfolios.
Okay, Varun, hi, good afternoon. What about Maruti, which has also been one of your PMS's top holdings as well historically, and the stock has moved up quite a bit from the recent lows?
As far as four-wheeler sector is concerned, we believe definitely with the revival of urban consumption demand, and now with the monsoons doing well, even the rural side will start kicking in. I think one very important factor which keeps getting missed is that the rural areas contribute as much as 30 to 40% of the passenger car sales, and if we see good revival in rural growth, that is quite good for the four-wheeler segment. So our sense is that 12 to 15% kind of a volume growth is definitely doable, and the four-wheeler segment should continue to do well.
Okay, well, look at that. Look at PVR. It's now surged almost 8%. It's at a fresh 52-week high. 1,100 rupees on PVR. Clearly, the Kabali fever is growing now, Anuj. I mean, the shows are booked till Sunday, and I hear that a lot of offices in Chennai and Bangalore are actually giving people a holiday on the 22nd for this movie release. So
yeah, and that's going viral. That's going viral. Yes, a lot of companies giving public holiday.
For a movie release.
Movie release. I mean, that's
not even like a sports tournament final or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. But and this movie is crucial for Rajinikanth, I believe, because the last two movies have not really done well. So that's why this is crucial. But
and it's overtaken. It's expected to overtake Sultan as well in terms of the monies being raked in. So many numbers. But look at PVR. It's the biggest beneficiary, right? But the amount of food that will be consumed.
Exactly. And so some of these movies, like for example for Sultan, the tickets were being priced at 500, 600, 700. So at least for these weekends they have pricing power. But I mean, I don't know, 1112 on PVR now. It's really a bit of a parabolic move that we are seeing now from the recent lows. Sonia, recent low was what, 650 thereabout. From that point to 1120 on PVR, it's been a phenomenal move. And some of the other stocks like Inox also catching up now, 4% higher. Mr. Tulsian, everything is good at a price. Is PVR good at 1100?
See, Anuj, I was not convinced at the level of 950, so there is no question of getting me convinced at 1100, because see, I've heard you saying that 12 blockbuster, if we would have, and this is the phenomenon every year, every year you have 6 to 10 or say 8 to 12 blockbuster, then why you have the Q4 losses, which you have seen in case of PVR for Q4 FY16, and yes, the kind of, if Rajinikanth is God for the viewers of the Rajinikanth fan, then you can have the effect of that seen maybe for a week or so, not for like 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 10 weeks, at least in the Mumbai and Maharashtra. So I won't be keeping a positive view. This is just euphoria which we have seen building up. If this would have been Tamil Nadu, then the situation would have been different.
Yes, I take your point, Mr. Tulsian. I mean, in Chennai and Bengaluru, a lot of companies have not only declared holidays, some companies are providing free tickets to their employees to go and watch the Qawwali show as well. So much frenzy over there. Look at Inox Leisure, by the way, 4% up move over there. Amrish, you're smiling. You would not touch PVR at this level at all?
No, like I told you, I mean, as an investment, surely not at these levels. I really can't justify that. But from a trading point of view, because there's momentum, because sentiment is so positive, possibly play that move. But even after I said about 10 minutes back, the stock has moved about 25-30 rupees.
Oh yes, phenomenal mover that one actually in the last few months of trade, and today as well has seen a huge move. But let's move on and discuss some more names, because we have seen the markets pick up quite a bit of strength in the last few minutes of trade. Canara Bank has moved to high point of the day. Federal Bank has moved to high point of the day. So a couple of these names have done well. Ashwini, among PSU banking lot, anything that you would want to carry forward, because these stocks clearly have momentum?
Well, if it helps, PVR was a call at 8:15, and as far as PSU banks are concerned, all this capital recap etc. is in the price. So chances are that once the results come out, these guys will get into a corrective mode rather than rally further. So if you were in your PNB or other stocks from earlier, I think right now is a good time to take it off on PSU banks also.
Okay, well, that's about a couple of these names, but let's do one thing. We still have about 10 more minutes to go before the day comes to an end. We also have Wipro's numbers that will come out in just a while from now, but mostly it will be post market close itself, because we just have 10 more minutes to go. The track record so far in the IT space hasn't been good. So first, let's listen in to what the expectations are ahead of the earnings. Wipro's Azim Premji raised the red flag at the Wipro AGM yesterday over Brexit and the sluggish US growth. Rima joins in now to give us all the expectations from the numbers this time around. Rima.
Yes, the IT earnings season is not started off on a good note by Infy as well as TCS. For Wipro, we're working with a dollar revenue growth of about 2 to 2.5%, aided by the full quarter acquisition of the health plan services integration, as well as the currency tailwind. So the health plan acquisition could contribute about 200 basis points to the company's top line. If you look at the constant currency revenue growth, it should be around that 1.82% mark, which is right in the middle of the company's own guided band of 1 to 3%. The June quarter historically has been quite weak for Wipro. So if you see in the past 2 years, the constant currency growth for Wipro has just been about 0.2 and 0.3% respectively in Q1. Margins are seen down 100 basis points on a quarter-on-quarter basis, because there will be a 1-month impact of a wage hike, as well as dilution on account of the health plan acquisition, as well as increased visa costs. A couple of things to watch. One, of course, is Brexit, but secondly also on the energy vertical, because that contributes about 14% to the company's overall revenues, and it has seen a decline for 6 straight quarters now. Thirdly, we'll also keep our eye out on the deterioration in top clients, because in Q4 the top line was down close to about 13.5%. The company in the prior quarter had also outlined its 2020 vision of hitting $15 billion in revenue with EBIT margins of 23%. So any update on that would be keenly watched by the street. If you see the stock performance, it's already corrected about 5% since Infy and TCS came out with their earnings. Its valuations at 13 times F5 18 PE appear to be a bit reasonable, but Wipro has underperformed the industry for 5 years. So till the street sees some growth triggers, the stock, analysts say, is still going to be an underperformer, even though the valuations appear to be far more attractive than its larger cap peers.
Okay, Varun, where do you stand on Wipro? Valuations by its side, but historically it's a stock which has underperformed.
Well, I think as far as tier 1 IT companies are concerned, clearly there is a pressure both on the demand side and as well as on the margin side. I think one needs to really pick and choose which are the companies which are best geared to address the demand of the future. How many companies which are able to crack the digital piece and the new technologies in a very convincing way. So I think the result is still not out as to who will be the real big gainers of of this big shift in technology that we are really seeing. As of now, we would be really careful on the tier 1 IT space and be really selective.
What about the FMCG space, Varun? What did you make of the numbers that came in from HUL, and would you extrapolate that into slowdown seen across the sector, even for some of the smaller names like Dabur, Marico, etc.?
Well, I think the big challenge for FMCG space as a whole is that the last year the earnings growth were quite good, primarily on the back of big expansion in EBITDA margins, because there was a big collapse in raw material prices. I think this year going forward, the margin benefit that most of these companies show will either disappear or will come down dramatically. So the real driver of both top line and bottom line growth has to be the volume growth. And I think there is only some segments in which we are seeing big revival in volume growth. Of course, as monsoons get better and as rural demand revives, we might see a little more uptick in volume growth. But overall, I think looking at where the valuations are and what is the kind of earning outlook, one needs to be really careful on the space.
Okay, the other stock that's rising now is Lupin. Let's pull out the intraday chart of that one. And for Lupin, it's interesting because the way it's moved up in the last 1 month of trade. Look at that. Now at 1700. Amrish, it's seen huge recovery from the lows.
Yeah, that's true.
As has the entire pharma sector. But your call on the stock?
I mean, we should remember that the stock had fallen from that 1900 odd levels to close to 1400 because of the USFTA issues.
Yes.
As that's clearing up to a certain extent, we have seen that bounce back. But I don't see this stock really moving up immediately beyond that 1800, 1825. I think that is where we could see, face some resistance. But then again, as far as the pharma sector is concerned, this is one of those few stocks which I would possibly hold. Lupin and Sun Pharma are the ones which I'll hold possibly for longer term. But in the short term, possibly a movement to about 1800, 1850, not beyond that.
Okay, that's on Lupin. A couple of stocks in the broader markets like Capital First have spiked up quite a bit and will go home with almost 8% gains and big volumes on Capital First today. Canara Bank is the other one that's looking quite good. So 5% high on Canara Bank, and volumes too are quite high on that one. From the list of NBFCs, Varun, how are you positioned now in some of these names? Not just the ones like Capital First, etc., but some of the big wealth creators like Bajaj Finance, Bajaj Finserv. Do you see more money to be made here?
I think the consumer part of the market continues to do quite well. We have seen as the discretionary incomes increase, as the consumer appetite for discretionary products like mobile phones, air conditioners, refrigerators and all increase, there is a big demand for financing these products. In India, we have seen a big shift in consumption pattern, as in the sense that people are financing more and more of these purchases. So we believe that those companies which are geared towards the consumer part of the market will continue to do well. Another segment of the market which we like is the mortgage segment. We believe that there is still a lot of scope for a good 20-25% kind of compounding in the housing finance space. So these are the two themes which we continue to stay positive on.
Okay, let's pull out the intraday chart of HCL Infosystems, and that stock has seen a big intraday knock. Look at that. It was in the green actually, and now trading down about 5%. So intraday there's a sharp dip that you have seen on HCL Infosystems. But let's talk about a couple of more names. Chennai Petro is up about 7%, and a couple of other names like DLF and Reliance Communications have actually seen some bit of profit taking. Ashwani, a word on a couple of real estate names. Anything that stands out for you? DLF, HDIL, Indiabulls Real Estate?
See, they're all in correction, and possibly they'll correct about 10 odd % from the highs before they restart their rallies. So wait for a correction. They're all in uptrends. There's no question about that. But overstretched and need to come back to their 20-day moving average before you can have a resumption of the rally.
Okay, we just have about 3 more minutes to go for the day to come to an end, and it's been a good day actually. We did see a recovery in late trade. The Nifty has managed to hold on to 8500, and the mid-cap index too has recovered from the lows. Where did that recovery come from? I mean, was it just bizarre and random as Ashwini was suggesting, or does it prove that there is buying at lower levels?
I think more, a bit of both, but more of the latter, Sonia, because this is a market which is not being charitable to give you a 100-200 point dip. Today we have outperformed all all other global markets. Today was a case where the market could have actually gone down and have ended in the red, but the market has chosen to, and while we're talking about lower highs, the market is taking support at somewhere around 84.90, 84.93, 84.90 thereabout has been the low at which the buying has been emerging, and again, maybe it's indication of one last push towards that 86.50, which is the 52-week high that could well happen over the course of say next couple of weeks. But let's talk about the stocks that led the market higher today, and it's a clutch of heavyweights actually, led by ICICI Bank, Reliance and TCS. These were the top 3 contributors as far as today's trend is concerned. As you can see, some of them moved in late trade. Reliance especially did. Some other gainers in trade today included stocks like BPCL, which was actually the top index gainer, 3% higher. Idea Cellular was up about 2.5%. Power Grid up 2%, Lupin up 2%, Bosch was up 2%, Tata Motors DVR up 2%. So a lot of stocks gaining 2%. Aurobindo Pharma up 1.5%, Ambuja Cement, Z Entertainment, Tata Steel, all these stocks gained ground about 1 to 1.5%. On the losing side, Lever clearly was your big stock, down 3%. So for the week, in fact, it's now down 5% if you were to club yesterday's losses and today's losses. IndusInd Bank has corrected a bit in trade today, down 2%. Yes Bank corrected a bit, down 2%. Eicher Motors was down about 1%. So that explains the large cap market, but a lot of movers and shakers in the mid cap, Sonia.
Oh yes, the stock of the day was Mindtree on the downside. So almost 10% knock on Mindtree post a weak set of numbers and weak commentary coming in from the management, and volumes were high there. On the upside, the stock of the day undoubtedly was PVR. Now at current reckoning, if you look at where the stock is trading at, on an EPS of about 27, a consensus EPS of 27 for FY17, it's trading at 42 times, and this is after the earnings were upgraded post last quarter's numbers. So very expensive at this point for PVR, but who cares about that? Ahead of the Kabali release, PVR is up and away. Inox is the other one that gained quite a bit today. That was up almost about 4% or so. Then in more result reactions, you had Exide that came in for some profit taking. Nothing much really. The numbers were good, but there was some profits taken off the table. And then you had real estate stocks like Indiabulls Real Estate, DLF that were down, GMR Infra, Relcom, Andhra Bank, HDIL were a couple of other stocks that were under pressure. And talking about losers, Bharat Bijli was the one that lost quite a bit post a weak set of numbers this time. Apart from that, on the upside, you had PSU banks, especially the ones that will be capitalized. Those banks were seeing some gains today. So from the list of PSUs, there was Canara Bank that gained almost about 5% or so. A couple of others like Syndicate, Allahabad Bank, IDBI Bank, Bank of India also closed in the green today. JP Associates too, JP Power, the entire JP group, because of the deal with JSW Energy. JSW Energy also closed in the green, up about 1 to 3%. So that brings us to the end of what was a good day of trade for the bulls. The Nifty goes home with gains of 0.3%. We haven't seen any major correction in this market all year now, and if anything, every minor dip has been used as a buying opportunity. Varun, there are many themes that are playing out in the market now, but what tops your list? Where do you see more value over the next 6 to 12 months in this market?
Well, I think consumer durables is clearly a space where we remain quite positive. We believe that as the urban demand revives, along with the revival in the rural side, we're going to see a lot more sales of refrigerators, washing machines, air conditioners. So that's clearly a segment which should show high growth. Second is again the agrochemical theme, where we believe that now with the good monsoons playing out, we would expect a very strong set of sales and bottom line growth for leading agrochemical companies. Another segment which we believe will do well is the consumer finance space. We believe that India being the revival in GDP growth being led by consumption both on rural and urban side, we're going to see a big expansion in the consumer finance space. So these are the three themes which we remain extremely positive on.
Okay, remain extremely positive on some of these stocks. Bharat Financial Inclusion, of course, has been one of the rank outperformers. Amrish, anything in NBFCs that stands out for you even at current levels?
No, I think most of these stocks have already moved up on the story. So at these levels, I'll not really venture in and buy, I think, fresh. So I think I would tend to ignore this space, at least for the time being. Although stocks like LIC Housing Finance I had recommended at levels of about 411, 412, but then at closer to about 520, 525, I was suggesting booking out some profits.
Okay, gentlemen, we'll wind down this conversation on that note. Thanks so much for joining us and taking us through the last 1 hour. It's been a good day, decent day of trade. After really languishing in flat terrain through the day, we picked up just a tad bit towards the end and closed in the green above the 8,500 mark. Our closing bell money control question of the day is on HUL. It was the biggest Nifty loser. It reacted negatively to its lackluster Q1 numbers. Do you see further derating in the stock? 70% of the respondents say yes, there could be a further derating, while 30% say no. I guess people are spooked by the cautious commentary from the management.
Oh, yes, and the market reaction as well could have played its part. We have Divaro saying that since cyclicals are picking up, the valuations of defensives don't look justified for the below average growth that they're delivering, and that's an excellent point.
Okay, Abhijit, I guess, says the HUL will never admit that competition is getting tougher. The easy money for HUL is over. Baba Ramdev will make them work quite hard. That's something that he has been doing.
Oh yes, he has. And in fact, we have yes here saying that HUL has a range from 850 to 950. This swing is seen every month and cannot be attributed to quarterly figures. So that's a purely technical view.
Okay, that was our entertainment for the day, and on that note we'll slip into a short break. Manisha Gupta will join in to give us all the currency and commodity market action. Stay with us.